She was a talented rapper on her way to stardom and the life of her dreams.
She just had it, you know. She was probably one of the brightest lights I ever met.
I used to tell her, like, you're just a star.
And he was going to help her reach new heights.
They connected over their love of music. They were both artists.
They did a song together.
They had the potential to become this power couple.
But the music stops when she suddenly goes missing.
She's not answering any calls or texts, and her loved ones are becoming increasingly concerned.
Everybody was banging the streets trying to find her, you know, or see what's going on.
And when an unsettling scene leads police to fear the worst,
does that look like blood to you?
they'll discover a shocking story of manipulation and control.
Got the 20 that is my love, not going. I had that good feeling that I knew something was up.
She was looking for love, but she found it in the wrong place.
Who knows what she was being told or what she was led to believe.
He confessed to you that he did it?
Yes.
Is there anything on you? Is there any guns in here?
He talk about he's a demon. This guy the devil.
July 18th, 2023. It's another warm summer day in the East Cleveland suburb of Bedford, Ohio.
On the east side of Cleveland, people say there's a lot more diversity, you know, a lot of different ethnicities. There's a little bit of everybody, different walks of life, and so lots of culture.
Bedford is more urban, suburban area. It's quieter, and it's just where you will be and be safe. It is one of those places that you could move and feel some source of comfort.
But that sense of comfort and safety has turned to panic for the family of 25-year-old up-and-coming rapper, Bernicia Lightfoot.
No one has seen or heard from Bernicia in 2 days.
This was unusual, out of character, and there was more than just, oh, she's busy, so she hasn't reached out, or she's just not in the mood to talk.
And her birthday was that week, so a lot of people was looking forward to being with her.
Nisha, please call me back.
Just like we can't find Bernicia, and I'm really scared for Nisha.
Gary, have you or Jay heard from Bernicia?
We all, I think, knew that it was something bad. We all had bad feelings, you know? It wasn't like she just disappeared for a couple hours or a night, you know? It just felt bad.
No, I'm at the studio right now and she's not here.
I really think something bad about to happen to her.
At 25 years old, Bernicia Lightfoot was determined to make her mark on the music industry.
Her energy was crazy, she worked hard, but Nisha, she's a beautiful soul, a lovely person, she's a happy person. I ain't never seen her with an attitude, never seen her talk down on nobody.
She was probably one of the brightest lights I ever met. She was funny, she was witty, and she did light up a room, for real. Everybody loved her.
However, Bernicia had faced plenty of adversity in her life.
She had faced a lot of loss, a lot of death in her life.
She lost her mother at a very young age and then turned around and lose her father. Then she lost her brother.
But all that loss propelled her to try and make a change.
She actually joined the Wolfpack Gunshot Response Team, which was founded to train civilians how to do some preliminary tending to gunshot wounds.
She had a good spirit about herself and, you know, the wherewithal to want to help somebody else.
Bernicia also used her music as an outlet for the tragedy she'd faced in her past.
She just had it, you know? She'd just go in the booth and do her thing. And she could ride the beat. And she evolved mostly into, you know, what female rappers are today.
I brought her in something to make her look like a superstar. To show her, like, oh, you ain't nothing like them. You are special.
Under the name Alada, Bernicia was quickly rising up the charts as one of Cleveland's hottest new musicians.
So I want y'all to go listen to my new song, Ink, on TikTok. Show me y'all Ink, you know what I'm saying? Let me know, show me some love, and let me know what y'all think.
The name Alada just kind of encompassed her. She was a lot of, a lot of everything, you know? A lot of an artist, a lot of a person, a lot of sometimes a lot of a headache.
The more popular she became, the more she saw it as a way to earn the money that she never had growing up.
She was being promoted and then signed a little publishing deal for some of her songs. We went to LA and we did one show out there.
We in Cali in a 5-star hotel, 5-star restaurants, 5-star studios. She had tailors pulling up with designer clothes, $2,000 clothes for her to try on for video shoots. She had stuff that artists don't even experience.
The aura she was giving off is that she was already a star.
Hello, everybody.
It was amazing to, you know, to see it starting to come together. We were just a step or two away from really breaking out.
That's a wrap. All right, Nisha, great work.
Along her path of success in the music industry, Bernicia was meeting a lot of new people,
including a fellow music lover, 31-year-old Michael Rorty Nugent.
I've been listening to your stuff, and it's amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you really killed it on that hook in there.
Michael and Bernicia connected over their love of music. They were both artists, and she was attracted to, you know, his creativity.
Hey, before you leave, let's get a quick collab.
I'm game.
They did a song together.
After that, they were inseparable.
They started dating and she's spending a lot of time with him.
He had a little bit of money. And so she probably thinking like, I probably don't got to struggle to eat. He buying me some clothes. He taking me out of town.
To everyone around her, it was clear Bernicia was smitten.
She's a lovable person. If she be into you, she actually love you. She actually cares.
But now, on the eve of her 26th birthday, no one has seen or heard from Bernicia in 2 days.
She's not answering any calls or texts, and her loved ones are becoming increasingly concerned.
Suddenly, though, there's a glimmer of hope.
Bernicia's sister, Joy, finally gets a call back from her phone.
Nisha, thank God.
Hello?
But the relief is short-lived.
When she answered the phone, on the other line was a man.
Who is this?
Who is this guy? And why does he have Bernicia's phone?
Up-and-coming rapper Bernicia Alada Lightfoot was on the cusp of her big break.
It takes one song to really make you go, you know? And I think she was really just banging on that door.
With her boyfriend and fellow artist, Michael Rorty Nugent by her side, it seemed like the sky was the limit for them both.
They had a shared love of music and the potential to become this power couple in the hip-hop scene.
But on July 18th, Bernicia has gone missing, and her sister Joy has just received an alarming call from Bernicia's phone number.
Nisha, thank God.
At first, she's so relieved that her missing sister is finally calling her back.
Hello?
But when she answers the phone, it's a man on the other end of the line.
Who is this?
The man introduces himself as Fred Levine.
Yeah, I just found this phone. I was just hoping you could help me find the rightful owner.
The phone was locked. However, Fred was still able to see missed calls from the lock screen. He dialed the first number that showed up on her phone.
Yeah, it's my sister's phone and I need it back ASAP. Where are you?
Joy immediately makes arrangements to meet with Fred and obtain the phone.
Hi, I'm Joy.
Fred, nice to meet you.
Where's the phone?
Is this Fred guy trustworthy, or could he have something to do with Bernicia's disappearance?
Where'd you find it?
It was laying in an alleyway by my apartment complex.
He found Bernicia's phone on the corner of 59th and Chester Avenue. This is still the east side of Cleveland, but it's more than 10 miles from Bedford.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
What was Bernicia's phone doing over there?
Well, thank you for your help.
Of course. I hope you find your sister.
With Bernicia's cell phone now in tow, Joy heads straight to Cleveland PD to officially report her sister missing.
You want to get you some water or something?
No, I can't eat or drink anything right now.
All right. You have her phone, you said, right?
Joy gives detectives the phone in hopes they can unlock it and use it to locate her sister.
I can't get into that phone. I tried everything. My mother's death day, I tried my mother's birthday, my father's death day, my father's birthday, her birthday. Her birthday is tomorrow.
It is tomorrow. How old?
She'll be 26.
Detectives ask Joy about the last time she spoke to her sister.
I called Felicia Sunday at 5 o'clock. She called me, and she was just calling just for regular, what you doing? And I'm like, nothing out for that. She said, oh. And I was like, all right, well, I'll see you tomorrow. You know, I'll call you tomorrow. I got to go home and get ready for work.
All right.
Okay, love you.
According to Joy, Bernicia seemed completely normal. There was no cause for alarm at that time.
No distress or nothing. If there was anything going on, tell me, Bernicia. Text. Please call me. Know my number by heart.
Okay.
Joy says the location where Bernicia's phone was located is another cause for concern.
On 59th and Chester, like an alleyway.
Okay.
Across the street from the park.
Okay.
Why would it be over here? She don't know nobody over here.
Okay.
There's no reason for it to be over here.
All right.
According to her family and her friends, it's not an area that she frequented.
Based on everything they're hearing from Joy, investigators agree there's good reason to be concerned about Bernicia's well-being.
We have good phone numbers for you guys, and we'll contact you with any updates, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for coming in.
At the end of the interview, detectives officially list Bernicia as a missing person, and they hand over the phone to forensic analysis in hopes that they can crack open the phone.
In the meantime, detectives follow up on any other possible lead to Bernicia's whereabouts.
Detectives reach out to Fred.
After speaking with him, they don't think he had anything to do with Bernicia's disappearance or knows where she is now. He's just a guy who found a phone.
They checked all the local hospitals, and she hadn't been reported as being admitted or treated at any of those places.
Everybody was banging the streets trying to find her, you know, or see what's going on.
In speaking with some of Bernicia's friends, investigators learn a vital piece of information. She'd recently started dating someone new.
They learn about her boyfriend, Michael Roy Nugent, and that she'd recently moved in with him.
However, detectives' calls to Michael go unanswered.
No one seems to know where he is. Has Michael gone missing too? Or did the couple take a last-minute getaway together?
With both Bernicia and Michael unaccounted for, the next step for detectives is clear.
It was enough to raise suspicion enough for the police to want to go to the apartment and do a wellness check.
All right. Okay, thank you.
They went to the apartment, knocked on the door, but no one was there, so they reached out to management to open the door.
Once inside, detectives come face to face with an unsettling scene.
The house is disheveled. There are things everywhere. It looks like the apartment has been ransacked.
But it's in the kitchen that investigators make the most concerning discovery of all.
There's a large stain by the stove.
Does that look like blood to you? I mean, it looks like it's burnt.
Right in the kitchen. There's blood all over the floor, dried blood.
More than 48 hours after she was last seen, Bedford police are conducting a welfare check at the apartment of 25-year-old Bernicia Lightfoot. But as police enter the dwelling, they uncover something alarming. A large pool of blood on the kitchen floor.
Does that look like blood to you? I mean, it looks like it's burnt.
Right in the kitchen. There's blood all over the floor, dried blood.
Does this look like outline of something?
The blood was also kind of shaped in the way of an arm. It was just kind of one of those scenes that you knew, hey, what happened here? Someone was seriously hurt.
Did you see that? Yeah, like an arm or a leg, maybe? Dude, I don't know. I don't like the looks of that. I don't see a trail anywhere else in here.
The blood had been mopped or wiped with a towel. They did find a towel that was drenched in blood and had cleaning solution on it.
That answers the question of why did it look black and burnt? When you're mixing blood and some sort of cleaning solution over time, that's what it will look like. The cleaning solution and the blood had mixed together and became that dark colored, dried element on the floor.
Investigators locate the cleaning solution on the counter, and right next to it is a knife.
However, investigators don't think the knife was the only weapon used in the violence that transpired here.
There was a bullet hole in the stove.
And several other bullet holes throughout the area.
There were more than 6 shots.
They don't locate a gun anywhere in the apartment, but it's clear a gun was fired multiple times.
But was the victim Bernicia, Michael, or someone else? And where is the couple now?
They found his wallet and they found her purse. And both of their IDs were in those respective places.
So police are thinking this probably wasn't a robbery until they find the drugs.
Police find cocaine hidden in the refrigerator and pills that later tested positive as methamphetamines. Now they're considering, could this have been a drug deal gone wrong?
It was just a lot of unanswered questions, from the crime scene to the drugs and the wallet still being there.
In their search for answers, detectives turn to the couple's neighbors. One man says he didn't hear any gunshots, but he did have an unsettling story to tell.
One neighbor reports seeing something very suspicious the night before.
Around midnight, I heard some noise outside, so I looked out the window.
He remembers hearing someone like dragging something. He peeps out of his window and he sees some guys and this black bag.
He saw them trying to put it in the back of the vehicle, and they was having trouble shutting the hatch on the vehicle, and then they finally got it shut and they drove off.
Detectives immediately wonder, could there have been a body in that bag?
It might have been that size.
He mentioned to police, like, yeah, it's possible it could have been a body in there. The way that it was kind of like long and wrapped up.
Did you get any identifying information on the vehicle?
The dark color SUV.
Unfortunately, the neighbor didn't get a license plate number, and he didn't recognize the SUV or the men.
But he knows there were 3 men total, including the driver of the SUV.
There were 2 black males and 1 white male.
Could one of those individuals have been Bernicia's boyfriend, Michael Rorty Nugent?
Detectives must consider the possibility that Michael did something terrible to Bernicia, but there's also the possibility he's another victim in this.
Back at the station, detectives continue pushing for leads on the identities of the 3 mystery men.
Could they have targeted the couple for drugs?
But as detectives continue mulling over that theory, they learn they have a visitor.
Absolutely. We'll be right there.
It's one of Bernicia's closest friends, Kenza Jackson.
She says, hey, I have some information that you might need.
And what Kenza says will turn the case on its head.
That's when she tells police that Michael had been abusing Bernicia.
You literally got the gun pointed at his pipe. Not going.
Ohio detectives investigating the mysterious disappearance of Bernicia Lightfoot are sitting down with her close friend, Kenza Jackson. And Kinza has just made a startling claim about Bernice's boyfriend, Michael Rorty Nugent.
She says Michael had been violent towards Bernice.
She started spilling the beans, explaining who he was, saying how they had a very abusive relationship, and she saw it firsthand.
In fact, Kinza says she didn't approve of the relationship from the start.
That's because just a few months before Bernice started dating him, Michael had been released from prison. He spent 3.5 years in prison for abusing the mother of his child.
So a couple years ago, he beat his baby mother to post him there. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So when he got out and they started talking, I'm like, no, I didn't prove it. I see Nisha like a little sister to me.
In fact, Michael was initially supposed to have a longer prison sentence for his misdeeds against his ex.
He got out of prison because he was beaten by the guards or something, and then he got a settlement.
He got $115,000, and he blew a lot of that money on drugs.
Got out of jail, he got a big lump sum of money. I ended up hopping over the code. And messed him up. It became strange, like, you do tabs, you do code, you do all of that. It's crazy, like a switch.
This explains the drugs police found inside his apartment.
Whether it's drugs or alcohol, whether you're selling or using, those cultures lend to violence.
Kinza says before long, it was clear Michael's violent tendencies hadn't been reformed during his stint in prison.
About a month into the relationship, she had called me to come pick her up. So I'm like, cool. And that was the first time he put his hands on her.
Bernice was very distraught, and she left for a couple of days, but after that, she went right back to Michael.
Yeah, I was low-key mad. She went back. I said, you go back, just think about the funeral. Yeah. Because he don't love you.
We see this a lot with domestic violence victims. The abuser has a certain control over them that keeps them coming back.
And according to Kinza, the relationship became more and more volatile.
There was one evening in which Kinza and Bernice were getting ready to go out for a girls' night.
But the night was soon ruined by Michael.
We getting dressed, about to leave. He come in the house, he's like, where you think you going? Pulled out this long ass, looked like a Western gun or something. He was literally at the house in Bedford holding us in their house. He got the gun pointed at us like, y'all not going.
And when Bernice tried to protest, Michael took his aggression a step further.
Come on, Michael. I don't have time for this tonight.
Michael got very upset with Bernice, and he picked up a liquor bottle and he hit Bernice in the head with it.
Didn't I tell you? I told you.
I was hearing stuff from the streets that she was getting beat. He was doing crazy stuff that she's not gonna definitely let me know. I'm like, this is not right. Come on, this guy the devil.
Despite the increasing abuse, Kinza says Bernice never pressed charges against Michael.
Bernice never went to police. She just kind of threw it by the wayside.
She was a victim, and I think she got too deep into it, but she really couldn't turn.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You know, adults have choices. They have, free will. Unfortunately, she chose to stay.
But he changed her all the way around. Her rap started changing. She started talking about demon time, and that's what he's talking about. He talking about he's a demon.
Michael became a prime suspect at that point. They were trying to reach out to him, couldn't get an answer, didn't know where he was.
With Michael and Bernice still nowhere to be found, family and friends continue the search.
People were trying to put together some type of search party.
They was being detectives, like they was finding out things, they was in the streets.
She had, her sister, her best friend, everybody was, calling around, trying to find her.
But on July 21st, police finally received the lead they've been desperate for.
On Friday morning, police receive a 911 call, and it's from Michael's mother.
This is Bedford Heights. I have a 911 transfer for you. She states that she believes her son killed his girlfriend. She doesn't know where the body is, but he is at her house right now.
Yes, it's everything she just said.
She stated that my son is here. He said he did something bad, and he's in the room asleep right now.
Does he know you're calling? No, he's asleep. He's fell asleep. I guess he's tired.
And did he tell you that he did this? He confessed to you that he did it?
Yes.
Police immediately raced to her home. They all went over there, guns drawn.
He had nowhere to go. It was a matter of time.
What's your name? Are there any guns in here?
Ohio police on the hunt for murder suspect Michael Rorty Nugent have just learned that he's hiding out at his mother's house.
He confessed to you that he did it?
Yes.
Investigators swiftly move in to make the arrest.
They had to assume that he had the weapon, so yeah, they came in full SWAT gear.
Sure enough, he was back there in the back room, sleeping like a baby, as if nothing happened.
What's your name? Are you naked or you got drawers on? You got anything on you? Is there any guns in here? Roll over.
He starts complaining that his foot is broken.
How'd your foot break, huh?
I think he was kind of dazed.
Regardless, detectives take Michael out in handcuffs and place him under arrest.
There's nothing on you, right, bro? Nothing at all on you? Yeah, no, we're good.
Back at the station, detectives confront Michael about Bernice's disappearance.
He initially said, I don't know where she is. I don't know what could have happened to her.
However, detectives aren't buying it.
Police knew that he knew something and he wasn't telling the whole truth.
We want to recover her body for her family, and if you could help us do that, we'd be more than appreciative.
How you know she's dead, man?
Because that was arterial blood on the floor.
She was carried out in a bag.
When it finally started coming to a head, he was getting emotional.
Can you tell us where she's at? Or can you take us to her?
I had nothing to do with that. I didn't do it.
You didn't do what? You didn't move her body or you didn't
do anything? I was not there.
With Michael stonewalling the conversation, detectives put one final offer on the table.
They tried to, help him come clean with letting him know if you help us, basically we'll help you.
This interview's being recorded, and the sooner you go, dude, yeah, we got into it, something happened. I'm gonna show you right now where she's at. Or tell us. That's what a judge wants to see.
I don't know what happened. I don't know none of that, man. I wasn't there. I didn't do it, man. That's all I know.
Just to let you know, you're gonna be charged with aggravated murder in 2 days. And that we will be stacking up mountain evidence against you. And you're gonna go to prison for a long time. If you decide you want to talk to us, you can. Reach out to us.
Detectives keep Michael in holding and circle back around to his mother.
They called his mother and said, hey, he's not telling us the full story. Can you come down?
Fortunately, she agrees to aid the police in the investigation of her son.
Let's start at the beginning. He knocked at your door. What time was it?
At 2:30 a.m.
She says she knew that something wasn't right.
I knew right then, like, what the hell?
Right.
So I had that gut feeling that I knew something was up.
She directly asked him, was Bernice dead?
I'm like, where is she? What happened? I'm like, is she dead? Like, did you kill her? He said, I shot her 3 times. I was shocked.
When she found out that Bernice's life ended, she felt enough conviction, despite it being her son, to call the police and say, hey, you need to come get him.
And with his mother now turned state's witness, it seems Michael is feeling the heat.
Detectives get word from Michael. He's finally willing to take them to Bernice's body.
In terms of abuse, it rarely just starts with, I woke up one day and punched you in the face. Sometimes they feel like, oh, this is my fault. If I hadn't just done this, or if I had said this different, you know, this wouldn't have happened. So for Bernicia, it could have been the guilt or shame that she felt that, you know, she was even in this situation. And who knows what she was being told or what she was led to believe.
After denying culpability in the disappearance of his girlfriend, Bernicia Lightfoot, Michael Rorty Nugent has finally decided to come clean.
He finally admits, okay, I know where she is, and I'll take you to her.
On July 21st, just 4 days after she was last seen, Michael leads police to a small wooded area in East Cleveland, Ohio.
He's right over there.
When they find her body, Bernicia has multiple gunshot wounds in the head, back, and arm. It was overkill.
Michael also admits he stashed the murder weapon nearby.
You buried the gun somewhere along in here?
Yeah, it's right over there.
He was able to take the police right to where the gun and the bullets were located. It was a .44 mag.
The bullets in the gun were in close quarters. They were feet apart, but the gun was buried. The bullets were not.
He just threw it where he could. And it just amazes me how he just led police to everything.
If you really love her, why would you allow her to stay out there? And I think that kind of played on his psyche, made him, you know, come to the reason that I should go ahead and finish this thing.
When the news spreads to Bernicia's loved ones, it's a devastating blow.
When they did find her, it hit me, you know. It was like, wow, it was tough. And Jay was distraught because he's known her since she was a little kid.
She didn't deserve none of that. Like, she was working on herself. She was getting better. And it's sad. It's so sad. It's just her. I still think about it. It's mind-blowing. It hurts so bad.
With Bernicia's remains finally accounted for, authorities take Michael back to the station to give his confession.
We still need to know what led up to this. How did this happen?
Michael says it all started on the night of July 17th.
I picked up her phone, it was on loud.
Michael, for some reason, went through her cell phone and discovered that she was talking to another male who was intending on picking her up that night.
Who's this?
He's just giving me a ride. It's no big deal.
Why are you lying?
Bernicia told him that it was just in her words, a hood Uber.
I know she ain't doing know what to do. It's just like, it's weird. Like, you make a lot about that. She used to get the spaz and trying to get the phone. She was saying, like, you want to start touching her.
He says that's when Bernicia picked up a knife, the same knife that was in the kitchen that police took in for evidence.
Just give me my phone back.
Yo, put the knife down.
From there, Michael says it became a fight for his life.
He was trying to say it was in self-defense.
She just kept coming at me. I grabbed my gun. I just told her, please put the knife down. We're going too far. And she turned the knife around like she was about to stab. And I just banked into the refrigerator and it just shot 3 times.
He shot her, and then he shot her again and again.
You know where it hit her? I didn't look where it hit her. I knew she was there.
He said she came after him with a knife, but who's to say that's true or not?
After that, Michael says he attempted to clean the crime scene.
He says he wrapped Bernicia's body up, and drove it to the wooded area.
Who did you call to help you?
Hey, have any help?
You got her outside by yourself?
Yeah.
Is that how you hurt your ankle?
Yeah.
But there was actually 2 other individuals that was involved he didn't tell on. That right there is the kind of scary part. We don't know who these other 2 individuals were, and they're still out there somewhere.
Michael says after he hid Bernice's body and the gun in the woods, he got rid of her phone.
You left it up there in your little apartment right there by 59, by that park?
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's kind of shocking and somewhat a miracle. Somebody found it, was trying to get back to it, because most folks be trying to make some money off it.
Yeah.
After hearing Michael's confession, detectives aren't so sure he's telling them the full truth.
Detectives aren't buying Michael's story. They don't believe he killed Bernicia in self-defense. His version of events doesn't match up with the evidence from the crime scene.
Detectives believe this wasn't an act of self-defense, but a murder soaked in cold-blooded jealousy.
He met a beautiful young lady. He felt he struck gold. Different labels looking at her, music getting out there, people hearing, people contacting her, doing features with her. But she started finding out he was a fraud. And that's where all the fatal attraction stuff really started happening.
Investigators surmise that after enduring abuse at the hands of Michael for so long, Bernicia had finally had enough.
I heard she was getting ready to leave him. She wanted to leave, she didn't want nothing to do with him. She left him the first time for a month. And I think the second time, he knew that she wasn't gonna come back.
Michael, I'm leaving you. Michael, did you hear me? I'm leaving you.
Who is this? I think he was dealing with some mental health issues and plus drugs, and he saw that she was going to meet some guy.
That was it. That was the end of it.
She was looking for love, but she found it in the wrong place.
For confessing to the crime and leading police to Bernicia's body, Michael is granted a plea deal.
It was determined that it wasn't premeditated, it wasn't aggravated. The plea deal that he ended up taking was he was to be convicted of involuntary manslaughter, of tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse.
There was no trial, nothing of that sort, which is actually a good thing because to drag the family through a trial, that would have been very devastating.
As part of Michael's plea deal, he's sentenced to just 23 years in prison. And to many of Bernicia's loved ones, that just doesn't seem like enough. He'll be eligible for parole in December of 2045.
When he get out, he still can see the light of day. It's like basically the system is wicked to me because you showing everybody like, oh, you can kill and still get out. You could cold-blooded murder and still get out. He took a good person, an innocent person, away from the family. He shortened her life and he get to still walk to her. I don't understand that.
I have to, as a prosecutor, believe that rehabilitation is possible or my job is pointless. Without rehabilitation, there's no hope and there's no need for a prison system. But do I think that this family needs more than 23 years to forgive Michael? I think they need a lifetime.
These days, Bernicia Alada Lightfoot lives on in her art, in those she connected with and the love she shared.
She was on her way of defying the odds, just trying to do something in her life, trying to pursue music.
I should tell her, like, you're a star. Look at yourself like that. You deserve better. But at the end of the day, what she really wanted was love. What she really wanted was somebody to sit there and love her.
I just think that she would have really made an impact in the entertainment world. I think the world would have seen somebody at the top of their craft, you know, really putting some great music out.
We got a big picture in our studio of her, And, you know, I just look at her now, now I just look at it just to motivate me, like, yeah, you still with me, you right here with me.
Abuse is never okay. If you or someone you love is in an abusive relationship, there is help available.
Every time Jante got into anything, two-face, heavyweight, call my mama. I wasn't there. And that's like my biggest regret, that I wasn't there for him.
He saw the vehicle pull up. He instantly hears gunfire. Just shooting.
When you're in a relationship that is hostile and volatile and unpredictable and unsafe, you do reach a breaking point.
People do act different ways. People may be frightened, people may be angry.
It's not about love anymore. It's about property, what's mine.
17 shell casings tell a story within itself, right? It says someone wanted someone dead.
August 27th, 2017. Around 1:30 a.m., police in Detroit, Michigan respond to the scene of a terrifying car accident.
A 911 call was placed because a vehicle had crashed into a church. One of the walls in the parking lot, a vehicle had driven through the wall of the parking lot, and they believe they saw a person inside the vehicle.
Responders get to the scene, and they notice a 20-something-year-old man slumped over, barely breathing.
At those hours, it's typically pretty quiet. The person was driving eastbound on Mack Avenue. It looks like they lost control around this location. You can see the tires in the grass. He went through a 3-foot high brick wall, and then his vehicle came to a rest in a parking lot.
Upon closer inspection, officers spot evidence of a reason for the crash.
They notice bullet holes on the driver's side of the vehicle, as well as blood dripping from the man's body.
EMS now arrives and discovers that the person is shot. There's a chest wound. Now it's turning into a different investigation.
First responders are able to identify him as 29-year-old Jante Brooks. They jump into action, and they rush him to the hospital because they try to save this man's life.
Jante Maurice Lewis Brooks was born in 1988. His mother, Teresa Brooks, had him when she was little more than a child herself.
Jante is my firstborn. I was really happy when he first got home, and my mom took care of him because I was just 17. So she took care of us together, you know.
Jante grew up in a loving, close-knit family. He had 3 brothers, 1 sister. Unfortunately, Jante's father was not in the picture, so he took it upon himself at a very early age to be the man of the family.
In high school, Jante's charm made him popular with the girls in his class. But he only had eyes for one young woman in particular, named Dewayna.
He can stay away from her, she can stay away from him. So they were right together. They had a great relationship. They went to the prom together. It's beautiful.
They were head over heels in love with each other, and they were overjoyed when they had their first child. Not having a father in his life, Jante took the role of being a father very seriously. So he was a very active dad.
Although they never married, the couple went on to have 4 more children together, and Jante worked hard to support them.
Jante eventually figured out that he thrived working with his hands and landed a career in landscaping. He took a lot of pride in his work and creating beautiful landscapes for all of his clients.
Settling down at such a young age sometimes put a strain on the relationship. But the couple always seemed to work things out.
They broke up for a second, and then they got right back together. And I knew that it was just love. They couldn't stay away from each other.
However, during one of their breaks, Jonte fathered a child with another woman. Eventually, there was no more getting back together.
Even though he and the mom eventually went their separate ways, he still prioritized co-parenting and being there for all of his children.
He was a great dad. He went, picked them up, took them wherever he went, brought them over to the house, even if he wasn't going to be there. He still had the kids there, always.
Even if he wasn't with the mothers any longer, he was right there, being a great father figure for all of them.
Really proud of him, because there's a lot of men out here that have kids and just don't even recognize them. He didn't have a lot, but for sure he had those kids with him by his side, whatever he was doing.
In the fall of 2016, Jonte decided to take another chance on love with 26-year-old Mignetta Yeager.
Mignetta actually pursued Jonte, and he found this really appealing because she would take the initiative. And so she would take him out on dates, pick him up for dates, pay for things, and this was unfamiliar to someone who had to provide for everyone in his life. They had a really happy relationship, always spending time together, going on dates, and just really excited about the future.
He actually thinks that she may potentially be the one. But as in oftentimes in cases like this, you know, there's a hiccup along the way, and the relationship begins to fade, and it falls apart.
By 2017, Jonte had simplified his life, focusing on spending time with his children. But now, he's clinging to life. Detroit police have determined Jonte lost consciousness and crashed into a church after someone shot him. The question is who?
There's no guns in the car, there's no passenger in the vehicle, so obviously somebody from outside the vehicle fired into the car. We try to figure out, one is motive. Was this person an intentional target? Was it an accident?
Witnesses tell police a truck was pursuing Jonte shortly before he crashed.
Several witnesses noticed the white minivan seemed to be trying to get away from the red pickup truck. However, once the white minivan crashed into the church, the red pickup truck fled the scene. They were not able to see the license plate. However, they did notice there were two people in the vehicle, a man and a woman.
Unfortunately, none of them saw the shooting.
Officers surveyed the scene and noticed there are no shell casings at the church. They realized the shooting must have occurred somewhere else.
We would call that a two-part scene. The secondary crime scene would have been where he was found. The original crime scene would be where he was shot.
One theory was that this was possibly a road rage incident, because that's what normally happens if you see one vehicle chasing another down the road.
In that specific area, we haven't responded to too many homicides. There is a little bit of prostitution over there. There's some breaking and entering of automobiles and stolen cars and things of that nature. Now, the investigative wheels are spinning to where this could have happened at.
As officers are surveying the scene, they notice down the street at the gas station, there are multiple cars and blue flashing lights. And they wonder, is this part of the current scene?
In the early morning hours of August 17, 2017, Detroit police begin their investigation into the shooting of 29-year-old Jonte Brooks. Before they've even finished interviewing witnesses, they receive some tragic news.
Unfortunately, the paramedics were not able to save his life, and he does die at the hospital. He was killed from a single bullet that went through his right shoulder and went through his lungs.
So now you have a murder investigation. And now, where was he murdered?
Flashing lights from patrol cars at a gas station nearby tip off officers to the possible location.
Coincidentally, there's a crime scene just down the street. Second call that had come in for shots fired at the gas station. Officers at the scene were quickly able to determine that the two incidents were connected.
When investigators arrive, they find evidence of a relentless attack. 17 spent shell casings scattered on the ground.
Officers notice all 17 shell casings are the same, so they seemingly come from the same weapon, meaning there's probably just one shooter. After Jonte was shot, he tried to get away. Unfortunately, he succumbed to his injuries, swerved and drove right into the church and crashed.
You have a two-part scene, so we would have to break those two up and then have evidence techs or our crime scene services section document each location.
17 shell casings tell a story within itself, right? It says someone wanted someone dead.
Officers talked to the gas station owner, and he says he then noticed a red pickup truck pull up and a white minivan pulled up right next to it. He heard some arguing and heard some gunshots, about 6 or 7 of them.
The owner tells police that when he ran to the window, he caught a glimpse of the shooter.
The gas station owner noticed there was a young black woman shooting at the white minivan. At this point, the white minivan pulled out and sped off. The woman followed, shooting on foot at the white minivan, then jumped back into the red pickup truck and tried to follow him.
Unfortunately, he's unable to provide a description of the driver or the license plate.
People don't look out the window and expect a homicide to happen and say, I'm documenting it step by step by step. I'm looking at my watch. Okay, it's now. They're not doing that. You know, you're busy doing this. All of a sudden you hear something, you look, and you only capture this much.
Luckily, the gas station has security cameras covering the entire area.
What's better than the witness account is the video at the store, which captures the event in its entirety from start to finish.
Officers review the surveillance footage, and they notice an older black man driving the vehicle and a young black woman in the passenger seat. She's on her phone, and she seems very animated as she's talking. At this point, a white minivan pulls up beside them with the window rolled down. They start to argue, and the young lady jumps out of the vehicle and starts shooting at the white minivan.
Based on the video footage, there wasn't any delay, there was no physical contact, there wasn't any of that.
The video provides investigators with enough information to identify the driver.
Not only does the surveillance footage show the shooting happening, it also reveals the license plate of the vehicle. They're able to tell the vehicle belongs to 44-year-old LeBaron Borum. The officers check his DMV photo, and they notice there is a resemblance to the person in the surveillance video. The officers also realize he lives in the neighborhood of the gas station.
From that, we did surveillance and were able to locate the vehicle parked in the driveway. And from there, we were able to locate and eventually interview the owner of that red pickup.
Ultimately, police arrive at LeBaron's door, and they have questions for him.
At this point, he's the one that ultimately gets to decide what role he wants to play in this investigation. In these investigations, typically when you have multiple defendants, whether it's a bank robbery with 4 or 5 defendants or a homicide with 3 or 4 defendants, typically the first person that comes to the table to talk to the prosecutors will get the best outcome.
And he spills it all. It ends up being a very wild night and a wild scene.
Detroit police are questioning 44-year-old LeBaron Borum, one of two suspects identified at the scene of Jonte Brooks' murder. According to LeBaron, he was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He says he was strictly trying to be a good Samaritan, and he just got caught up in a very bad situation.
LeBaron says it began with an argument between two strangers on his front lawn.
LeBaron tells the officers his son ran into the house and told him, "Dad, there's a van that ran up onto our yard." At this point, LeBaron went outside to see what was going on.
What he says is that he notices there's a female and a male, they're arguing, there's some type of altercation going on. Ultimately, he says the male gets into the vehicle, and it appears that he's about to run the female over. She ultimately gets out of the way, and he drives on in this white van.
LeBaron tells the officers he does recognize the lady from the neighborhood. It is 27-year-old Menage Yeager.
He knew the man arguing with Menage as well. It was her ex-boyfriend, Jonte Brooks.
What he stated was that he was aware that Miss Yeager and Mr. Brooks were in a tumultuous type of relationship.
By the time LeBaron came to her aid, Jonte had already driven away.
He went to help Miss Yeager, thinking that this was a woman in distress. And she ultimately says, "Hey, yes, can you go after this white van? That's my mother's van. I gotta get it back. I'm concerned my boyfriend just attacked me and he took the van." He had no clue that she had a gun on her. So he ultimately lets Miss Yeager into his vehicle, and they drive off looking for this white minivan.
While they were chasing Jonte, Menage called police to report the van stolen. Then she called Jonte.
Miss Yeager said her plan was to try to keep Jonte on the phone as long as possible so the police can get to him and he could be arrested.
There's some heated words being said back and forth. Ultimately, he also hears that they agreed to meet up on the east side of Detroit at a gas station in the area of Van Dyke and Warren Avenue. And this would have been around 1 o'clock in the morning on August 27th. When they get to the gas station, there's no Jonte. And so, she instantly calls Jonte on her phone. She argues with him, "Why didn't you show up?" Well, apparently he did show up because he says that he noticed that she was in a vehicle with another man. He's not too happy about that, according to her, and he has choice words. She indicates to LeBaron that he ultimately makes a threat towards her, saying he's gonna kill them.
At this point, LeBaron was reconsidering his decision to get involved. But he ultimately agreed to drive to another gas station.
LeBaron tells the officers Jonte pulled up about a minute later. But then they started arguing because he was highly upset.
He says something to apparently push her buttons. She immediately gets out the vehicle and pulls out a weapon. And she starts to fire into the vehicle that Jonte is in.
Mr. Brooks, without hesitation, just hit the gas and took off. In the course of the shots being fired at the vehicle, Mr. Brooks was shot.
But the harrowing encounter wasn't over yet.
At this point, LeBaron is terrified. He didn't know what just happened. He wanted to just get out of there. However, Ms. Yeager jumped back into the vehicle and told him to just drive.
As Jonte is attempting to get away, he's obviously shot and he's obviously hurt because he then pulls into the lot of a church which is nearby on Mack Avenue, and at that point collapses. LeBaron seeing this and Miss Yeager seeing this as they're chasing him, they then decide to pull off and keep going. What LeBaron indicates to the police is that he noticed some lights behind him, and, he freaks out.
He saw the police coming, and he did not want to be a part of that at all.
He decides to turn down a side street. He ultimately makes his way back home. And strangely enough, he says that Miss Yeager just gets out the vehicle and walks back home. Doesn't say a single word. And from that point, he says he doesn't hear from her ever again. In fact, he doesn't hear anything else until police arrive at his door.
Investigators believe LeBaron is telling the truth. Unfortunately, his actions still make him an accessory to murder.
I don't know if Miss Yeager was intentionally trying to kill Mr. Brooks, but her reckless display of firing a weapon and her disregard for life or anything, the outcome was ultimately homicide. So here we are.
He is ultimately charged as an accessory after the fact. And police charged him because he helped her flee the scene. And then he doesn't immediately go to police.
Hours after the murder of Detroit native Jonte Brooks, investigators are searching for the woman accused of shooting him. Jonte's ex-girlfriend, Menage Yeager. They also reach out to Jonte's loved ones to notify them of his death.
That Sunday morning when I woke up, I'm in Vegas. I woke up, I looked at my phone. My phone is flooded with missed texts and messages. So I listened to one of my voicemails. It was my youngest son. And he said, Ma, he was crying. He said, Ma, I can't believe this. This girl killed your son. I called home. I said, what is going on? My youngest son said, Ma, I just got back from the hospital. I had to view him. He said she killed your son. I just lost it. I lost it.
After recovering from the initial shock, Jonte's family tells police they feared something like this might eventually happen.
What we had learned through the investigation was it was a tumultuous relationship.
So while things started out great in the beginning for Jonte, the transition happened when things got a little more hostile in the relationship. So Miss Yeager started calling him a lot, stalking him, accusing him of being with other women, popping up unannounced at his family's house.
I always heard her in my home, but I never cared to meet her or anything because she was loud, Every time she came to my house, she was always loud. And I just told him that, she can't come over no more because she's very disrespectful. And he said, okay.
When partners start showing that behavior of calling him a lot, accusing him of being with other women, at first we take that as a sign of, they like me, they're crazy about me. That behavior tends to get ignored a lot until it's very problematic, right? But at that point, it's a pattern, and you find yourself stuck in a relationship, right? That's unhealthy.
I know there was a lot of 911 calls back and forth for the domestic situations between her and him. So there was definitely, from a long-term perspective, there was a build-up.
Jonte's loved ones became even more concerned when they discovered Minietta's family had a history of violence.
Unfortunately, Minietta was no stranger to this type of violence. Her sister years prior had murdered her ex-boyfriend and his current girlfriend.
I told my son, I said, Jonte, Minietta is dangerous. Stay away. He was young. He said, okay, I know, Mom, I know. But he didn't.
In August 2017, 2 weeks before Jonte's murder, the family says he and Menage got into a heated argument.
Miss Yeager was very erratic and emotional at this time. Jonte's mother showed the police officers her ring camera. And it shows Mrs. Yeager standing outside her house, banging on the door, yelling for Jonte to come out. He refuses to come out. However, finally, he does come to the door.
They got into it. She bust out all my windows in my front of my house. And then she also bust out the window in my car.
But despite Menage's alleged violent outburst, Jonte refused to get police involved.
In a case where you have the male that's the victim, what we oftentimes see is that they don't go to authorities for numerous reasons. One is they're not believed. Those type of cases, unfortunately, aren't taken seriously. And also, it's that male stigma, right? You want to be tough, and to go to police or to go to friends or loved ones and say, hey, I'm being abused by this female, well, takes a little way away from your masculinity. So men feel a little ashamed. You rather walk away. And that's what Jonte was doing here.
Crazy.
Instead, he finally decided to break up with her.
August 27th, that's the day he got killed. But that Friday before, I talked to him, and he was like, Mom, I see what everybody is saying. I gotta get away from this girl. I say, Jonte, I agree. He said, I got to get away.
When you're in a relationship that is hostile and volatile and unpredictable and unsafe, you do reach a breaking point, and you don't want to hear from that person anymore. You cut them off completely, and a lot of times that is not well received.
The night before he died, Jonte agreed to meet up with Menage one last time.
What we know is that on August 26th, Jonte is contacted by Miss Yeager, and she's insistent. She wants to meet with him. She wants to talk. He's trying to tell her, no, it's over. I'm moving on. There's nothing else, I need to talk about. And she wants to meet him at his aunt's house, which is not far from where she lives.
Menage was always bribing him with money and gifts. Even if he says no, she will still come around. If he don't react the way that she want him to react, she will sit in the driveway and just blow on the horn. Just lay on the horn. So this particular night, she did this. Jonte didn't want no problems, because this was my sister's house. And she was beating on the door at first. My sister came to the door and told her that Jonte is asleep. So she go back to the car and just lays on the horn at my sister's home. Jonte came outside and, he went with her.
Just a few hours later, Jonte was dead. And now, investigators can't find Menage anywhere.
They've been canvassing the neighborhood. They put a bolo out. At this point, they even go to the news media because they cannot find her anywhere.
This is on 11 o'clock news, 6 o'clock news, and ultimately someone does see and does give information. It's her, it's Miss Yeager herself.
Less than 24 hours after fatally shooting her ex-boyfriend, Jonte Brooks, Menage Yeager turns herself in to Detroit police.
She was transported to our holding facility, which is the Detroit Detention Center, and I went and interviewed her there. But I believe that she had an opportunity to speak with a lawyer before she turned herself in, so our interview was very short.
The story Menage tells police is quite different from the one they've heard so far. Menage claims she's the one who ended the relationship with Jonte, not the other way around.
She says she was abused by Jonte for months now. And at this point, she went to the mother's house because she finally had the courage to break up with him. She says that once she told him that she wanted to break up, he went crazy.
According to Mignetta, Jonte is the abuser in the relationship. And on this night, she says that he pulled her out of the van, beat her up, even beat her with a pistol at one point.
She finally was able to get away and run away from him. But no, he took the van and tried to run her over. At this point, LeBaron was there, and she saw him, and he offered to help.
Mignetta says she asked LeBaron to drive her to the gas station, intending to get her van back from Jonte. As she got out of LeBaron's truck, he handed her a gun to protect herself.
She says, in fact, that it was LeBaron who had the weapon and that she was simply there to just talk to Jonte. But she takes the weapon. She's in fear. She's in natural fear. She doesn't know what Jonte's gonna do. She says ultimately, out of self-defense, she shoots at Jonte. And she probably shot once or twice, 2 or 3 times at most. But then she tells police that her memory is foggy about the exact details.
Investigators are skeptical of her claims.
But it didn't make much sense because, you know, she says that she was abused and he was the abuser, but yet she's pursuing him. There's evidence that shows that she's appeared at his mother's house on a couple of occasions and, you know, threw a brick through the mother's windshield, tried to attack him when he opened the door to have a conversation. She says she shot 2 or 3 times at most, but we know from the physical evidence that there were 17 shell casings there at the gas station.
The police had a tough job in this situation because on one hand, we have Mignetta, who is reporting abuse, and then on the other hand, they also have contradicting reports where she was the abuser.
In a situation of domestic violence, you'll see signs of abuse. You'll see black eyes, you'll see broken noses, you'll see fat lips and cuts and scars and things of that nature. But in this situation, I don't remember any type of injuries to her. Now, there was a day or two that had passed, so if something healed, I'm sure there's probably some doctors that could argue one way. There's some doctors that could probably argue the other. However, in this situation, I didn't see anything obvious.
I think that people in general expect a bad woman to act and look a certain way, that this person is going to be meek and timid and scared and crying. And in my experience, you don't know how you're going to act. People do act different ways, so we have to investigate.
Mignetta's statement also raises another question.
Miss Yeager said LeBaron gave her a gun, but LeBaron said Miss Yeager just brandished the gun. So where did the gun come from?
It's a very important detail because if LeBaron, in fact, did hand her this weapon, well, maybe this is not a first-degree murder case. Maybe this is a second-degree murder case or manslaughter.
When investigators re-interview LeBaron Borum, he says Mignetta is lying.
LeBaron says he doesn't own a gun, does not have one registered to him or anything. The police even search his home and do not find one.
But Mignetta doesn't appear to have the gun either.
In murder cases, you know, oftentimes the defendant, especially when they've had time to flee the scene and head home, you know, they'll discard the weapon, they'll throw it somewhere, they'll hide it someplace, they might pass it on to someone else. Police did search for the weapon but couldn't find it, which is not unusual. But they have enough evidence.
There's a misconception that you need a firearm to prove a homicide occurred or to charge somebody with homicide. That's not true.
The video evidence is pretty damning in and of itself.
On August 30th, 2017, Mignetta Yeager is charged with first-degree murder. At her arraignment, she shows little remorse.
It was like around her birthday, and she told the judge, well, can we get this on because my birthday is coming up, so I want to get out of here. And the judge say, Miss Mignetta, this is a homicide right here. You're not getting out. that fast. But he had a nice funeral.
Nearly a year later, in August 2018, his accused killer, Menage Yeager, goes on trial.
Ms. Yeager's crux of her defense was that she was the one being abused. She was the only person who could testify to that, so she had to take the stand if that's what she wanted to do. And she wanted to do that, so she took the stand, and it didn't work out very well. Ms. Yeager indicated there were a couple people that tried to help her when he was assaulting her just previous to this homicide. That didn't bear out. These people, they were never found. There were no visible injuries.
Menage is a liar. She was saying that he was beating on her. If he was beating on you, why all the time you're at my house? Why I have to always ask my son to keep you away? We couldn't keep you away.
Prosecutors focus on the night of the shooting, arguing the evidence clearly shows Menage was the aggressor.
Video evidence was very specific to show that Miss Yeager went to that gas station with one intention, and one intention only, and that was to seek revenge to Mr. Brooks for taking her vehicle. She didn't get out of the car and flag him down and stop him and say, let's talk, reach her hand out for the exchange of keys. Wheels were still rolling, and she was already out of the neighbor's vehicle and firing at Mr. Brooks. In domestic violence situations and tumultuous relationships, it's not about love anymore. It's about property, what's mine. And I think people ultimately become property to each other as well. You belong to me.
In previous situations, Jonte had kind of acquiesced. This time he was staying true to what he wanted, and he drove off from her, and she did not know how to respond to that, and that led her into a rage.
After a 3-day trial, the jury finds Menage Yeager guilty as charged.
We were able to have Ms. Yeager convicted of first-degree murder, and that is mandatory life in prison in the state of Michigan.
And the judge asked her, did she have anything to say to me or the family? She said no. She was looking directly at Dwayna and really smiling, which is evil. Pure evil.
LeBaron Borum is also convicted of being an accessory after the fact. He serves less than 2 years in prison.
Whenever you get a guilty verdict on any case, but especially on a homicide, there's a sense of a job well done, that all of your hard work is paid off, and you're especially glad to get that justice for the family. But there's always going to be that sense of loss, and you can never make that family whole.
Everybody tells me that I have to forgive her. I would never forgive her. Never forgive her. This is my firstborn. She took him away from me, but I don't have anything to say to her. People say hate is a strong word. I want to go above hate. I hate her, and God understands my pain. I don't have to forgive her.
If anyone can learn anything from this, it's to make sure that you do report abuse, that you let your loved ones know what's going on, you let others know what's going on. Most importantly, you let the police know.
I wasn't even there for him, and that was hard. I wasn't there. Every time Zante got into anything, two-face, call my mama, anything.
After climbing to the top of the corporate ladder, she finally made love a priority.
Whatever she was missing, he was able to fulfill it. They were attached at the hip. Really, the only time they separated was when both of them went to work.
But a fateful December night will tear them apart forever.
Jay, just bring up some Pepsi tape.
There was blood all around her, blood on the walls.
She has been dead for quite some time.
When the men closest to her point the finger at each other, who's telling the truth?
He's a stalker. I really don't trust him at all.
This guy is like real jealous, controlling.
He was blackmailing her and extorting her for money.
She gave him everything, money, bought a car for him, pays for everything.
Get out! Before I call the cops.
It got to the point where I just couldn't be there.
He was a very violent person, the definition of dangerous.
December 2019. With only days until Christmas, residents in West Palm Beach, Florida are preparing for the holiday season.
This particular area of Florida is surrounded by marinas, yachts, and it's right next door to Palm Beach County, which is home to a lot of American billionaires.
It's known as a very upscale, safe area.
But on the evening of December 16th, as most residents are fast asleep, the quiet tranquility is shattered after the clock strikes midnight.
The department received a 911 call from an individual they identified as Ronald Gamble.
West Palm PD, what's your emergency?
Come quick, my girlfriend needs help. Please.
He had come home from being away for the weekend and found a bloody scene.
He finds his girlfriend, 52-year-old Rochelle Demings, laying in a pool of her own blood.
Oh my God, Rochelle, she's not breathing.
West Palm Beach police were immediately dispatched to the scene.
Come on outside for me. Okay. You didn't touch her at all. Have you moved her at all? You checked her or anything? Okay. Is anybody else in the home?
I don't think so.
Okay.
When the officer looks inside the door, he is taken aback by what he sees.
Oh.
The officer can tell there's no use trying CPR.
It looks like Rochelle has been dead for quite some time.
Jay, just bring up some Pepsi tape.
At that point, the officer radios down to homicide detectives to start an investigation.
All right, we got the medics. They're going to come and check on her, but it doesn't look good, bud.
"52-year-old mother of two, Rochelle Demings, was as accomplished as they come.
She had 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 associate's degrees. She also went on to get her master's degree.
She was a bright light, a walking smile and inspiration to anyone that she crossed paths with.
She was a very accomplished federal employee with the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs.
She was the chief of HIMSS at the West Palm Beach VA. HIMSS is Health Information Management Service.
Her employees describe her as someone who was always willing to help, always willing to teach them how to elevate their career as well.
Even though she was a chief, she would be alongside of us working every day if we got behind. She was down in the trenches with us.
But despite the success she'd built, something was still missing.
Her kids were grown, and after 20 years of marriage, she divorced their father. So she was missing companionship, she was missing romance.
Although Rochelle was very well respected in her industry, she got lonely.
So Rochelle decided to take action.
She went online and it didn't take long until she was matched with Ronald Gamble.
Ronald wasn't as esteemed or decorated as Rochelle. However, he did work different temp agency jobs.
On their first date, sparks flew.
He seemed to be a really nice guy, and he was very supportive of all of the things that Rochelle had going on in her life.
You know, you are really something else.
I was just glad I'm able to make you smile, you know?
He was very charming. He made Rochelle laugh. He was able to make Rochelle feel like that whatever piece she was missing, he was able to fulfill it.
And after that first date, their relationship moved fast.
Ronald was constantly at Rochelle's house. They were tied together at the hip.
He moved in with her pretty quickly.
After 3 years of dating, they actually upgraded their lifestyle and they moved into a beautiful, amazing new condo in West Palm Beach.
But after the couple had spent only a few weeks in their new home, detectives are there to begin a homicide investigation.
We were confronted with Miss Demings, who's laying on the floor right in the breezeway or the foyer area of this apartment. There's a large quantity of blood on the ground, and she's obviously deceased.
It was absolutely a terrible scene.
It's clear to police that whatever happened in that apartment, Rochelle died a violent death.
The only way that you could get around her was to jump over her. So it was a very difficult scene to work because all of the blood.
It was really hard for the police to find out the source of where her blood was coming from, but it did appear as though the blood was coming from her head.
And from the looks of it, Rochelle's been dead for a few days.
There was lots of blood. It was dark blood, which looked like it had been sitting there for a while. Some looked like it was dried because of the length of time that it had been there.
There was actually some pieces of mail that were in very close proximity to her body at the time.
They wonder if she was holding the letters when she was attacked and dropped them.
But aside from the gory scene in the entryway, nothing in the apartment seems amiss.
Nothing appeared to be stolen.
The door wasn't broken, so it really didn't seem like somebody entered that shouldn't be there.
Her boyfriend's the one that found her?
Yes. He's been very cooperative so far.
Okay.
Detectives are eager to speak with Ronald themselves to learn more.
They're very curious to see if he knew about who would be able to cause this kind of harm to Rochelle.
Or did he have something to do with it?
After years of prioritizing her successful career, 52-year-old Rochelle Demings had found love at long last.
She fell head over heels in love with a man named Ronald Gamble. The two had just moved into a place together in West Palm Beach.
They wanted to spend as much time as they could together.
But now the couple's new condo is a crime scene.
Rochelle was located on the floor of the condo with some type of head injury that produced a lot of blood.
As word spreads to Rochelle's friends, family, and co-workers, they're heartbroken.
So I get to work, and people were emotional and everything. They grab me, and they tell me that Rochelle is dead. My whole professional world had collapsed. Like, what the F you mean she dead? So, didn't make it through the day at all. Another person ended up taking me home.
Rochelle's boyfriend, Ronald Gamble, also seems shaken up.
Ronald was the one that called 911 after he returned to the condo and found Rochelle.
Detectives are very curious to see if he knew about who would be able to cause this kind of harm to Rochelle.
Or did he have something to do with it?
Detectives bring Ronald back to the station for an official statement.
He had no problem speaking to us at all. He's very talkative. He's very open about things.
How long have you two been together?
I would say 3 years now.
He explained that he and Miss Demings have been dating for a few years and that they had just moved to this apartment.
But Ronald says there's one person who had recently come between them. Rochelle's 27-year-old son, Dan.
They had a wonderful relationship up until the son came from Ohio.
What happened was, okay, I lived with her for a while, and then all of a sudden, her son comes out of nowhere. Her son is a stalker.
When detectives ask Ronald to elaborate, he starts at the beginning.
When Dan decided to move from Cleveland, Ohio to Florida, he had nowhere else to go. So Rochelle, being the mother that she is, she allowed Dan to come home to her home. But Ronald was very reluctant against that.
After Dan moved in, Ronald says the entire dynamic between him and Rochelle shifted.
He said they had started having disagreements and arguing.
He's an adult, Rochelle. He needs to grow up and get his own place.
You just don't understand. That is my only son.
We've never had any trouble before he came, never. He's always involved in our life. Like, he won't just get out of our lives.
And it became an issue that she gave him everything, money, bought a car for him, pays for his phone bill, pays for everything.
Ronald got fed up. He made the statement that if Dan wasn't going to pay bills, then Dan had to get out. Dan did not like that.
Do and get out. Hey, what's going on in here?
You're 27. She doesn't owe you. I keep telling him that. Every time he tries, I said, bro, get out. Your mom don't owe you, bro. Get from around us. You're grown.
Then Ronald says things took a turn for the worst.
He busted me in the head with a hot sauce bottle.
Get out! Before I call the cops.
And I called the police out. And I told them, hey man, the guy that assaulted me.
Ronald ended up pressing charges and Dan was arrested. He was charged with aggravated battery and taken to jail.
But Ronald claims Dan's volatile behavior continued.
A few weeks later, Ronald and Rochelle woke up to the sound of glass smashing. When they went to see what it was, or who it was Dan.
What the hell are you doing?
What are you doing?
He punched through their window, trying to get in.
I don't know why he did it, but he did it and cut his arm all up. I said, babe, you got to remove him from our lives. We can't live like this. You're a professional. I work. He doesn't want to do nothing with his life.
Get out before I call the cops.
Once again, Ronald had Dan arrested.
So it's been month after month, we've had the police over there on him within a year, about at least 20 or 30 times. I really don't trust him at all.
And Ronald says the apartment complex also became fed up with the drama.
Because of the issues that the son and he were having and the trouble that it was causing, they had asked them to leave.
They were evicted from their apartment.
Ronald felt like Dan was ruining what he had with Rochelle, so that led him to file a restraining order against Dan.
Within a month, the couple had found a new place to live. And with Dan out of the picture, Ronald says it felt like a new beginning.
They were starting new, and her son would not know where they lived.
But Ronald says he believes Dan found them once again.
He's obsessed with his mom. And I don't know, I've seen some other weird things I don't want to say. Makes me think, other things are going on too.
Say it. What are you going to say?
Nothing could prepare them for what came out of Ronald's mouth next.
He talks about some wild accusations.
That's nasty. No, that's not who she was as a person.
Detectives in West Palm Beach are investigating the murder of 52-year-old Rochelle Demings.
She was found in a pool of blood by her boyfriend, Ronald Gamble. It was clear she had been brutally attacked.
And now Ronald is raising suspicion about Rochelle's own son.
He claims that Dan was jealous of his relationship with Rochelle.
According to Ronald, Dan had been violent towards them in the past, and they even had to file a restraining order against him.
He's obsessed with his mom. And I don't know, I've seen some other weird things I don't want to say. Makes me think, other things are going on too.
Say it. What are you going to say?
He believed that Rochelle and Dan didn't have a typical mother-son relationship.
He talks about some wild accusations about the possibility that Miss Demings and her son were engaged in sexual activity.
I think they're sleeping together a whole lot of times.
He would say that she would be on the phone with him, and he believed that they were having phone sex or something to that extent.
Anybody that stays on the phone with their son all the time, there's got to be something else going on.
It's a shocking claim, and one detectives take with a grain of salt.
That's not Rochelle. That's nasty. That's not who she was as a person. That's not who she was as a mother.
There's absolutely no proof, none. But Ronald Gamble felt so strongly that this woman should not be taking this good care of her adult son.
Ronald says 3 days ago he found evidence that Rochelle was still taking care of Dan, even after they moved into their new condo to get away from him.
He was going through the mail on Friday the 13th.
He found mail addressed to Dan, and that set him off. He said there was no reason why Dan's mail should be coming to that address. Dan wasn't supposed to even know the address.
He will not leave us alone. And when I seen that mail with his name on it, and so now once I seen that, I said, he must have a key here. So now I'm heated.
He confronted Rochelle about what he discovered.
What's this doing in our mail?
I don't know.
He even asked Rochelle if she had planned on giving a key to Dan to their new condo.
Tell me the truth. Did you give him a key?
What? No.
She kind of gets like, what are you talking about? She was like, oh, don't worry about that. So I'm like, really?
Rochelle tried to reassure Ronald that no, Dan had no idea of where they lived. However, Ronald was still infuriated. He was convinced that Dan was going to ruin their lives again.
Rochelle, this is supposed to be a fresh start for us. I can't keep doing this.
Ronald says at that point he just wanted to leave, but there was one problem.
His car wasn't working at the time.
I said, you know what? Just give me the key to your car, and I'm gonna go to Orlando and have somebody to come and get my car out of here.
He said Rochelle jumped in front of him, preventing him from leaving.
And she was like talking, to be honest, she was talking. So when I get by the door, getting ready to go out, she kind of pushed the door back, and I said, why you do that? And she snapped the out of me.
He said what happened next, he snapped.
In his words, he said, I hit her.
And I'm not gonna lie, I hit her. I hit her.
In December of 2019, as most people are preparing for the upcoming holiday season, detectives in West Palm Beach are listening to a harrowing story from 48-year-old Ronald Gamble.
He admits that on Friday the 13th, he and Rochelle Demings got into a huge argument about her son. This was just 3 days before Rochelle's body was discovered.
With the argument becoming more and more heated, Ronald says he tried to leave.
So when I get by the door and getting ready to go out, she kind of pushed the door back, and I said, why you do that? And she slapped the shit out of me.
Ronald says that's when he snapped.
And I'm not gonna lie, I hit her. I hit her I hit her with my hand, and I might have hit her in her head really hard. I'm gonna be honest with you. So after I seen her do that, she fell to the ground, like right there.
But Ronald insists she was still alive.
Did you see her get up? No, sir, to be honest, because I locked the door, trying to get out of there.
He got out the door and locked it behind him and never looked back. He said he went to visit a friend in Orlando.
Did she call you at all?
Actually, to be honest with you, I turned my phone off because I'm so pissed off with what's going on with her.
So then you left and go to
Orlando.
He said he drove 2.5 hours to Orlando in Rochelle's car to stay with a friend and clear his head.
We asked him, did you hit her hard enough that you could have killed her?
You don't think you could have hit her hard enough to kill her?
Don't tell me that.
He said what he did could not have caused her death the way it happened.
Ronald insists that when he returned home after spending the weekend in Orlando, he fully expected to find his girlfriend alive and well.
By the time he returned on the 16th, he was ready to have a conversation with Rochelle.
When you came home tonight, what time did you get there?
I'm going to say it's after 12. I don't know exactly what time it was, but it had to be after 12.
He said the door was locked.
So when you opened the door and you walked in, what happened?
Immediately, he saw Rochelle lying in a pool of blood.
I kind of freak out, but I opened the door and I was like, oh my God, you know, but I closed the door back. Closed the door back because I don't know what's going on. She's not moving. So I jump over her and I immediately get on the phone and call 911.
West Palm PD, what's your emergency?
Come quick, my girlfriend needs help, please.
Ronald insists the only person who could have done this to Rochelle was her son, Dan.
He has this stuff to his mom in my presence, and I would have to intervene. Man, that dude was doing so much stuff to us.
But detectives aren't buying Ronald's story, and their suspicions are further confirmed by the results of Rochelle's autopsy report.
The autopsy reveals that due to the decomposition of her body, she actually died 3 days before she was found, which was December 13th.
That was the same day that Ronald admits to hitting her.
Rochelle had 5 deep lacerations to the top of her skull. She had a contusion to her lip, severe swelling to her left eye, and fractures to the orbital bone on her left side. The fatal wound was a lateral skull fracture on the back of her skull that essentially cracked her head open.
What are the odds that on the same day Ronald admits to getting into a physical altercation with her, someone else came in and essentially beat her to death?
However, detectives aren't ready to arrest Ronald for the crime just yet.
And if I just simply made an arrest fast, without evidence, without doing DNA and phone records and what have you, that's going to hurt us. And I didn't want to do that.
So, detectives follow up with Rochelle's son, Dan.
They let him know right away that Ronald was trying to pin the crime on him.
Mr. Gamble basically was saying he didn't do it. And the only person he said, you.
Of course he was, sir.
Of course he is. So I have to come up here and talk to you about that.
Dan seems frustrated and offended that police even have to investigate Ronald's claims.
Had you and your mother ever gotten into a physical altercation before?
Never.
Do you have anything to do with your mother's death?
No, sir.
Dan says the only person who could have done this is Ronald Gamble.
Dan says that his mother's relationship with Ronald was rocky from the start, and it only got worse.
This guy is like a real jealous, controlling, like, I just told him the devil and I meant that for a reason.
Detectives in West Palm Beach, Florida, are speaking with the son of Rochelle Demings after her boyfriend, Ronald Gamble, implicated him for her gruesome murder.
They see that he's very torn up about losing his mother. Rochelle was his best friend, and he's so hurt that he lost her.
Did you have anything to do with your mother's death?
No, sir.
Dan says he believes that Ronald Gamble was his mother's killer and that their relationship was problematic from the very beginning.
So they met off like a dating site, and it was rocky. This was before I came down there. It was rocky. She had kicked him out. My mom, she was a sucker for love.
Dan says Ronald tried to isolate his mother from the rest of their family.
He told my mother it was disrespectful. He talked to me while he's around. He told my mother that she think my mother's having sex with me.
Yeah, he mentioned that. I was going to ask about that. Why would he think that?
Because the way the relationship me and my mother, I don't know why would he think so sex. But one like I told me, my mother was like this. That was my best friend. We was tight. You know what I'm saying?
Dan admits that he and Ronald got into some physical altercations in the past, but says Ronald was the aggressor.
Had he ever been violent with her before?
Yes.
How so? What happened?
I hit him in the head.
Rochelle!
What?
Your card keeps getting declined.
I don't know what happened.
You know how embarrassing?
He ran to the store for my mom and there were 2 bottles of wine. She didn't have enough on her card, so he felt like embarrassed, you know what I'm saying? So we talking crazy to her. I'm standing out of it for the most part.
But when Ronald started calling his mother names, Dan couldn't stay out of it any longer.
Dan saw that Mr. Gamble was just taking advantage of Miss Demings and her kind nature, and Dan would get really, really upset.
Hey! What's how you talking to my mom like that? Who the hell are you talking to?
I don't know. If y'all argue, you know what I'm saying? Don't call my mother's name or none of that bullshit. So he, tried to hit me up.
Dan says his mother moved in to defend him.
My mom came and grabbed me, get off my son. He pushed her to the ground.
Dan said he wasn't going to sit by and watch Ronald do that to his mother, so he grabbed the closest thing, which was the hot sauce bottle.
So I hit him in the head, busted his head open. And it was self-defense, though. It really was. It was just Satan, man.
Get out! Before I call the cops.
He says after that incident, he knew that he couldn't go back to his mother's house.
It got to the point where I just couldn't be there, you know what I'm saying?
But Dan continued keeping tabs on his mother, worried for her safety.
I heard them in there arguing.
You know how bad I don't know what stupid old in the park
because I couldn't get in, I had no key. He really took my own life over for real, ran, I think she was really scared.
He was so concerned about what was happening in the home, he did the next best thing that he thought he could do.
So I punched the window. Police had came that day. I stitched stuff. My mom got kicked out for that. So, once she got kicked out of there, it was kind of my fault.
Dan admits when Ronald and his mother moved into their new condo, she didn't share the location with him, but she had good reason.
It wasn't because she was afraid of her son. It was because she was afraid of Ronald. She was trying to protect Dan until she could figure out a way to get away from Ronald for good.
So how did Dan's mail end up at the new condo?
They said, well, if you didn't know where your mother was living, why are you getting mail to her new place?
And Dan explained to them, because he was technically homeless, the mail that he was receiving at the other apartment was being forwarded to the new condo.
Did she give you a key?
I never knew where she stayed.
Detectives are inclined to believe Dan's version of events, especially when they sit down with Rochelle's other family members.
That's her heart. She loved him more than anything in this world.
You don't think he's capable of doing something like that?
I don't think she's capable of doing something like that to his mother.
Instead, They echo Dan's sentiments that Ronald Gamble is the one responsible for Rochelle's death.
She made the statement about, if anything happened to me, this MF did it.
They told police that Rochelle was in an abusive relationship. She wanted to leave Ronald, but she had to be strategic.
Rochelle had had it, and she was done with this relationship. But as she told her friends and family members, she knew she couldn't just abruptly end it and walk away.
And Rochelle's family said she had good reason to be cautious.
Ronald was threatening to make her life hell if she tried to leave him.
She just kept saying he was blackmailing her. He was trying to extort her for money, and he just wouldn't leave.
Ronald had some dirt on her that could possibly get her fired.
She had tried marijuana to help with her chronic nerve pain.
He ended up taking a picture of her smoking marijuana and then threatened to send it to her boss at the VA hospital. She had worked for the VA for over 30 years. She loved her job and she had so much to lose.
Ronald told Rochelle that she had to pay $1,200 to keep her secret.
And I'm like, you cannot get in trouble for what he's trying to blackmail you for. He can take a video of you smoking a cigarette and say it's weed. I'm like, only thing they can do is drug test you.
But Rochelle couldn't bear the idea of losing everything she'd worked for.
So she paid him $1,200.
Rochelle wanted to end it, but she knew he had a temper, so she was trying to do it delicately and to keep the peace. And some of her friends and family members got the impression that she was terrified of him.
She said, if anything happened to me, if I come up dead, if I come up missing, he did it.
And when detectives review surveillance from the evening of the murder, they feel even more confident in their case against Ronald Gamble.
We had video at the apartment complex, at least at the gates, to see what vehicles entered and exited and entered that night.
At no point does Dan or his vehicle enter the complex.
Homicide detectives in West Palm Beach investigating the mysterious death of 52-year-old Rochelle Demings believe that her live-in boyfriend, Ronald Gamble, is responsible for the crime.
Ronald tried to pin the crime on Rochelle's son, Dan, but during their investigation, police found his claims to be bogus.
Ms. Demings' son gave me his phone number, which we were able to use to see where he was on the night in question. His cell phone records show that he wasn't there.
Surveillance video from the apartment complex also proves Dan couldn't have been the person who killed his mother.
We had video at the apartment complex gates to see what vehicles exited and entered that night.
At no point does Dan or his vehicle enter the complex.
And the footage also shows Ronald leaving the complex several hours later than what he told investigators.
He left that apartment about 4 o'clock in the morning. So his version saying he was left at between 7:30 or 8 o'clock is not corroborated through the video at the front gate. He stayed there from the time of that fight until 4 o'clock in the morning, and Miss Demings is on the floor. If she's still alive, if she's dead, he remains in that house with her and never calls 911. So that was something that I felt was very damning.
There was only one person who could have done it, one person who had motive, and that was Ronald.
And now police believe they have what they need to charge him with the crime.
Ronald was arrested for second-degree murder. There's a distinction in degrees between first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and manslaughter, and it all turns to intent.
I don't believe it was a first-degree murder. I don't believe that he planned to do this. I believe that maybe she did hit him and he lost his cool.
And as investigators prepare for trial, they learn Ronald had a dangerous pattern of manipulation that started long before he met Rochelle.
Detectives spoke with the friend in Orlando that Ronald claimed to stay with after the murder.
He agreed to come to the Orlando Police Department, where he provided us a statement as well. He talked about Mr. Gamble being a manipulator who always has different women in and out of his life.
As long as I've known him, he has gone from one woman to another and moved in and used them to help pay bills.
Finding out the type of person that Ronald was, he really didn't want anything to do with him.
So he was surprised when Ronald showed up at his Orlando home unannounced on the morning of December 14th.
Ronald told him that he needed help getting a one-way ticket to California.
One way?
Yep, one way.
Also, he said that Mr. Gamble got a new phone, or he saw him changing out the SIM card to his phone.
At no point did Ronald mention the fight that he had with Rochelle before he left.
So why did Ronald return to the scene of the crime instead of skipping town?
You're wondering, well, then why did you come back? I guess in the end, he knew he had to come back because where was the car? Where's your car gone? And we would have been able to track that. So he had to come back and do something. He had to come back and have some sort of explanation. And then he just wanted to minimize his involvement in it the best he could. So he's kind of like a narcissist. He wanted to talk. He wanted to tell us his story.
In September 2023, Ronald Gamble's trial for second-degree murder gets underway. Prosecutors paint a picture of a resentful and jealous man who was bitter about Rochelle's unconditional love for her son.
Ronald didn't have that kind of relationship with his mother. It seemed very foreign to him. It seems like an attack. It seems like a threat.
The prosecution asserts that when Ronald saw the letters addressed to Dan, his frustrations exploded.
With Ronald's history of having unstable relationships, being impulsive, he does have the tendency to allow jealousy to come forth and manipulate his decisions. So with the rage, finding out that you are possibly lying to me because I saw the letter, that rage takes over.
You have such ill will, hatred, and spite that you take someone's life. And that is what Ronald Gamble did.
His story of I just hit her once or twice real hard, the injuries are not consistent with somebody just hitting you twice. That's not what happened. He smashed her head into the floor, which caused her death.
But Rochelle didn't die right away.
The question you have in the back of your mind is that if he did call 911 after he struck her, could she have survived her injuries? Could she still be with us today?
When it's the defense's turn, they argue that what happened to Rochelle was a tragic accident.
Their entire strategy at trial was to lessen the impact. They said, yes, he caused her death, but it wasn't murder, it was manslaughter. He didn't intend for her to die.
And to everyone's surprise, the jury agrees.
The jury actually had mercy on him, and he ended up getting convicted with manslaughter.
Rochelle's family is crushed because the manslaughter sentence only requires 3 years. Thankfully, the judge didn't go easy on Ronald, and she sentences him to the maximum, which is 15 years for manslaughter. But since he's getting credit for time already served, he will be eligible for parole in 2035.
It's infuriating. It's not enough for this angel, for this star, this bright light to have been just blown out like that. It's not, no. 99 years still wouldn't be enough.
Domestic cases always play to your heart because how could somebody that's supposed to love you do this to you?
Women who are in domestic violence situations should never suffer in silence. My advice is